I also remember you could change putt-putt's colour as well in all the games, which was great. Yeah, that was my favourite.
Well, actually, not all of them.
Oh, sorry. Would you like to correct me on my fucking putt-putt knowledge?
Here's the putt-putt deep cut trivia.
Whoa, jeez, we got King over here. I feel like we can move to console games now because we've kind of already started talking about it. Anyone who's watched any of our previous podcasts will know that we pretty much grew up on old school Nintendo, I think is our sort of main thing.
Mostly Nintendo.
Yeah. I used to play a lot of Nintendo 64. Still do. I think it's still my favorite console. I'm not going to lie, even though the controller's kind of not really great. But, you know, there were a lot of really, really great games on the Nintendo 64. Pokemon Snap, I believe, is severely, severely underrated.
I'm still disappointed that they never made a Pokemon Snap on the Wii U.
It was the perfect chance.
It was just such a perfect combination.
Although,
I know people say that every time a Nintendo brings out a new console, they're like, this would be perfect for Pokemon Snap. It's because Pokemon Snap's that good.
It is great. It hasn't aged at all. You still find enjoyment out of playing it. I'm actually thinking of playing it for the channel. So if you guys want to see that, please let us know. But yeah, there were a lot of great games on Nintendo 64. One system I think is severely underrated as well. The GameCube. Such a good console, and it had a lot... Oh, sorry, I got spit in my throat just for a second there. It's had a lot of really good games. One game that I will forever remember that I feel like not really many people know about it, but as soon as you find someone that also played it, you both just share the love for it. It was this Disney game where it was like a skateboarding game. It was called Disney Skateboard Adventures. And it was the shit.
With it.
It was
I never
so
played
good.
it.
Not extremely goofy skateboarding. Did anybody play extremely goofy skateboarding?
No, did we all have different licensed skateboarding games? Because I had Rocket Power, Rocket Power licensed game.
Well, the thing is about skateboarding games is that it's just fun.
That was a really big genre when we were kids. Tony Hawk Pro Skater was one of the big PlayStation exclusive franchises.
Yeah, and the Disney Skateboarding Adventure game as well. In the little intro, it just had kids skateboarding around at a skateboard park, and it had a Simple Plan song in the background.
What a great window into that period of time.
It also had a Smash Mouth song as one of the background songs for one of the levels.
Good.
Pacific Coast Party, if anyone's interested. But yeah, I've never been able to find anyone else that's played that game. So if you have played that game, please comment, because I need to find other people who've played it. But yeah, that was a really good game. You could play as the different characters in all sorts of Disney games. So you could play as Simba, and you'd actually skate around Pride Rock, and you could do ollies off Pride Rock, and it was great.
How do you skateboard with if you're a quadrant, was Simba standing up on
dog skateboarding videos? That's a great section of YouTube.
But is Simba sitting on the skateboard with all four legs, or does he have his on his hind legs?
No, he's on all fours, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's on all fours.
Isn't Kid Tarzan in it and he skates on a leaf?
Yes, he does.
All right, the big question is Goofy in it?
It's not that era of Disney. I don't think even Mickey Mouse is in it.
No.
It's all Disney Animation Studio movies.
Toy Story was in it. Lion King was in it. Oh shit! What else was
But Goofy is timeless. There's no era of Goofy.
Goofy is great. Did anyone? This is slightly off topic. Did anyone watch a Very Goofy movie? Because
it's fantastic.
I must have, but it's been so long, I don't remember.
An awesome movie. Anyway, moving on. Let's go back in time a little bit.
Was Mulan in it?
Mulan. Maybe. Questionable. I don't know.
I feel like there might have been a Mulan level at least.
There might have been. There were a lot of levels. So you could skateboard around Andy's bedroom from Toy Story. You could also skate around... Oh my God, I just remembered. You could skate around this sort of city. It wasn't really specifically a city or anything like that, but what you could do as well is you could go up to NPCs and get missions, and you'd have to sort of skateboard around. And I remember one thing that you could do was you had to get this guy, and he lost 5 of his Nokia phones, and you had to skate around and collect Nokia phones, like the brick
Yes.
Nokia phones. You collect them. I think it was like 5 or 10 of them that you had to collect as you go around the level. And if you deliver them all, it'll actually play one of Nokia's old songs, and there'll be like a couple of little NPCs dancing to it.
Oh my
my
god,
God.
that is
Right?
like some next
Nokia
level product
polyphonic
placement.
ringtones.
Yeah.
That's the hot new genre of
Yeah.
club music for 2019. Just calling it now.
When I had a party last, I actually had a remix of the Me channel music on the playlist.
The Me Channel music is a bop.
It is. So let's go back a little bit to older consoles. So I'm talking Genesis, I'm talking NES. There was a game that I used to play. I can't remember what console it was on. I think it was called Bank Attack or Bank... No, it was called Bank Panic. And essentially the premise of it was that you were I don't know who you were. You were just a guy with a gun, sitting behind.
Sounds like every modern first-person shooter game to me.
Totally. So you'd sit behind a counter at a bank, and you'd have a set of doors in front of you. And the whole point is that you'd see people coming up to the doors, and if they were just people depositing money, you're not allowed to shoot them. But if they were robbers, you'd have to shoot them. And it got pretty intense at one point. You'd have like 9 people at doors at once, and you had to scroll through all of them and you just shoot all of them. It was actually a very terrifying game, because if you'd lost, there'd be this little animation of you against a wall, and you'd have bullets shot at you. Yeah.
What is this game? Like,
This takes place in like just an alternate universe where people solve all their problems with guns.
Yeah.
You see a robber, shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
If you accidentally shoot the wrong person, you'll get fucking pelted with bullets by the police or
No,
something.
that is legitimately the game. That is it. I can hear the music in my head as well, like the very arcadey,
that
harsh
is
8-bit. Yeah.
such a weird.
There were a lot of weird games in that era.
I feel like when you're a kid, you don't like know the difference. You don't go like, oh, this is Mario. It's developed in house at Nintendo. You go, this is a Nintendo game. It's Nintendo.
Yeah.
They're all Nintendo games. You don't understand that there's a sharp distinction between Mario and Zelda and Carnival Minigame Party 4. Like,
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
But then like all the weird like third-party games as well. Like we had on the Nintendo 64, we had a game called Snowboard Kids and Snowboard Kids 2, which is developed by Atlas, and they did a sort of edgy reboot on the Nintendo DS, which is weird. But it was super like anime tropey, but like with this really over the top cartoony style where they had like these big round noses that were as big as their heads. And you were just a bunch of kids that loved snowboarding, and you lived in like snow place and snowboarded a lot. But then like the further you got, there would be like different, like you'd start out with like some snowy levels, and then the like levels would get progressively weirder. So there was like a snowy mountain, snowboarding through your town when it's snowing, Turtle Island where you snowboarded underwater and got carried by a turtle, a jungle level, one where you got shrunk down and went through some girl's house. One of the levels was literally just the rich girl's mansion and gardens. So you just go through a mansion and then through this big flower garden. It was so weird and so good. It was like the Mario Kart killer. Because like Mario Kart 64 is pretty good, but Snowboard Kids had this thing where instead of doing laps, you did runs. So you had to get on the ski lift at the end of the level.
Oh no.
At the end of each lap. So if you were neck and neck with someone, you had to like zoom down and aim for that check-in gate, and there was a check-in gate that was one character wide, and you had to, if you hit it full speed and you were the only person to get on it, you would just go ding, it would go like ding dong, and you'd go through and get on the chairlift. If 2 of you were going for it, one person was gonna stack it. And so you'd get these intense things where you'd be neck and neck, and then like one person would hit the gate and the other person would just crash.
Oh, that sounds like friendship ender right
Oh,
there.
it's so good. It also had just like really great items. Like they didn't care about like anything making sense, so you could shoot like gloves at people that would grab them, or like you get a mouse and the mouse would steal their money. And the best item of all was the frying pan. and you just threw 3 frying pans in the air and it slapped down on top of all of your opponents and squished them so that they were like flat and slow.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is genuinely one of my favorite games. To this day, it's still fun. It also had the trick system that they introduced in Mario Kart many years later on the Nintendo 64, where you would go over jumps and you get extra points and speed for doing tricks.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Cool. Wow, that sounds like a fun game that I need to play ASAP.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed Wave Race on the 64 as well.
That was also fantastic.
Yeah, that was just a classic. Everything about it was just so rich and happy. Did anyone as well? This was on. I believe this was on the Genesis. Did anyone play Decap Attack?
I didn't, but I am familiar with it.
That was a weird game because I feel like with those kind of that era of gaming was so weird because a lot of people who were playing that stuff were kids. So you don't really pay too much attention to the game. You're just kind of in there. You're playing it. You're beating enemies, that kind of thing. And then 10, 15, 20 years later, you go back to those games and actually have a look at what's really going on. It's a little bit freaky. So in Decap Attack, for anyone who's really fucking curious about this game,
I mean, I feel like the name kind of gives some of it away.
Yeah, you play as a decapitated head that's kind of a mummy, and to attack, your face literally just shoots out of your body in this weird like stem thing, and you basically just like face palm people to.
Okay, I wouldn't have predicted that when I heard Decap Attack.
You thought you'd be doing the decapitated.
Yeah, not like literally you are a decapitated head.
It's also part of that weird era where every game was trying to start a mascot franchise.
Yeah.
So every main character was like designed around being like a lovable mascot character, and like so few of them still exist.
Yeah, I feel like Sonic takes the cake on that one.
I feel like Sonic was the one they were all trying to copy at that
Sonic
stage.
was, and there were so many really bad Sonic knockoff characters. My favorite of which is probably Awesome Possum from the game Awesome Possum Kicks Dr. Machino's Butt.
Dr. Machino.
What?
That
Yeah.
sounds very familiar.
It's an awful game. It's a truly bad game. But just like they were clearly trying so hard to crib Sonic's attitude that they called the game Awesome Possum Kicks Dr. Machino's Butt. And like it just like the whole thing was that none of them were unique enough to withstand the test of time. Although now, weirdly, we're seeing the like back a couple of years we had the nostalgia boom for like NES 2D platformers.
Yeah.
We are now at the nostalgia boom for Nintendo 64 3D collectathon platformers because we have all of these new ones cropping up and they're reviving the weirdest franchises. They're doing an HD remake of the Asterisk and Obelisk 3D platformer. They're doing HD remaster of Medieval on the PS1 where you play as like a skeleton knight.
Jeez, I haven't heard that in ages.
Yeah, they're releasing it for the PS4 this year.
What the fuck?
Are these all like being like crowdfunded? They sound like
there were a few like the massive success basically of Ukulele really pushed this. And then, like, the success of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, now there's a Spyro trilogy. Mario Odyssey had a whole bunch of Mario 64 references, like, in it, like, to, like, an insane degree. I am 100% expecting Nintendo to use the Mario Odyssey engine to remake Super Mario 64, and I am 100% expecting that Microsoft is out there desperately trying to get a developer to sign on to a Banjo-Kazooie remaster.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love a Banjo-Kazooie remake.
Unfortunately, it'll probably end up exclusive to Xbox, but that means you can play it on Windows at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like with this massive success of all of these 3D platforms, I feel like that's. And I know this is a little bit off topic, but it's about like we played all of these 3D platformers when we were kids.
Yeah.
So it's. Personally, I'm really enjoying it because they disappeared for so long because in the GameCube era, everyone was making just the worst cash-in 3D platformers and they were all awful and so it got oversaturated and now they make none.
The GameCube was a weird era because the games were either really, really, really good or just kind of garbage.
There was a lot, that was when the like real shovelware thing came. I mean, like, there was a lot of shovelware on, like, the NES and stuff. But I feel like earlier 3D systems didn't have as much shovelware because development was still quite expensive.
True. Yeah. Super Mario Sunshine, I think, is one of my all-time favorite childhood games as well.
Man, I would really love Super Mario Sunshine, but there's one flaw in that game that just ruins it for me. Which
is it the fact that Mario is sleeveless?
No, it's not.
That's not really a flaw.
I really like the physics are weird and different to all of the other Mario games, but like every game has its own unique feel, and that's okay. And I don't mind that every level is like seaside themed. I think that's really cool. The problem is, and this is going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but progression in most collectathon games is tied to the number of collectibles you have. Yeah. So in Mario 64, you need 10 stars to open this door. It doesn't matter which 10 stars you get, as long as you have 10 stars. Same with Mario Galaxy, same with Mario Odyssey. It's all about getting the number, which means that every task is equal. Mario Sunshine has progression tied to specific missions. So you can't progress in the game unless you fulfill specific missions. Yeah. So you need to beat episodes, beat Pinner Park 1 in order to open the next stage. If you don't do Pinner Park 1, you'll never progress in the game. To get to the final boss, you need to beat episode 7 of each level, which are all the Shadow Mario chases. Yeah. If you don't do that, you can't progress further in the game, which means that anything that is outside of the scope of those missions, the blue coins, the hidden bonus levels, the infamous pachinko stage, all of them are literally worthless. Yeah. They add 0% to your goal. They have no, they don't add towards your progression in the game, and that's so frustrating.
Yeah, no, that's a very valid point that I hadn't really thought about.
It's still a very fun game to play, and I still play it. It's just sort of like, I'd be able to enjoy this game so much more if I could just sit down and go for a casual playthrough of it where I could just do the things that I found the most fun.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Super Mario Galaxy sort of corrected that a little bit.
Super Mario Galaxy, I'm not going to go deep diving into Mario game design, but there's a lot of interesting stuff about how they designed Galaxy and then progressed on to making a really linear Super Mario 3D world, and how they've pulled back on that with Odyssey. It's really interesting. Mario game design, because no Mario games are bad. They're all really, really professionally well made, obviously. But actually looking into the design decisions and the design philosophies in all of the Mario games is very interesting, but not particularly relevant to this topic of conversation.
What about the what is it, the bopping physics, the thumping physics? What's that when he runs into the wall?
Bonking.
Bonking. Yeah. Oh, that's even better.
I still actually go back to our first podcast. For those who haven't watched, seen, heard, whatever. For those who listened to our first podcast, Zach introduced us to the concept of bonking in video games. So if you want a really, really genuine reaction of joy from all of us in terms of a very specific thing in video game mechanics, go check it out. I'll put it in the little annotation thing right there.
It might just be a Mario term that people call it in Mario games, because he has a very specific, particularly in speedrunning, you really want to avoid bonking because it puts you into a quite long animation of Mario falling back on his arms and then rubbing his head and standing back up again. Yeah. And the iconic sound effect.
Yeah. It's very cute. They do it in a couple of other Nintendo games. I know they did it in Breath of the Wild, and I have not been able to replicate it ever since. I don't know whether I've talked about this on the channel before. Apologies if I have. But there was one point where I was shield surfing around, and I jumped right at a cliff face, and Link actually just went splat against the wall, and he fell on his back, and then he got back up. Yeah. It's very hard to do, but if you get it.
We were talking about I was talking about that game yesterday. I just booted it back up and found this place that I'd never been to, and did this really cool challenge to get to a shrine, and then there was a secret hot spring behind a cave, and that I was just this game is so good.
It is so good. Okay, Mario versus Sonic. So let's talk about Sonic. You see that little segue that I did there? Well, I know that Jacob and I played a lot. Sorry.
I grew up playing Sonic games as well.
Okay, let's talk about Sonic. Oh boy.
I really like Sonic.
I do too.
I don't think that there are very many good Sonic games, but
Yeah.
I enjoy the bad Sonic games
yeah.
as well.
My favorite Sonic game, I think Sonic 3 and Knuckles really was such an iconic part of my childhood for sure.
I would say Sonic 3 and Knuckles is probably the best of the classic Sonic games, including the adventure games.
Oh, yeah.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles really refined that formula down.
Yeah, for sure. And the level, I think the best part about that game was the level design. Not gonna lie. I really like all the levels. I like the music as well. The soundtrack was so good. This is something not talked about enough.
It's something that I really noticed when playing through Sonic Mania, because you bounce between Sonic 1 levels, Sonic 2 levels, Sonic 3 levels, Sonic and Knuckles levels, and then the original to Mania levels. And it's really interesting going from like Studiopolis Zone, which is so like tight and modern, and it's all of the things you loved about Sonic design with none of the things you hated about Sonic design. And then like the sharp distinction there going straight into that smooth level after Chemical Plant Zone, which has the shoddiest hit detection on those like square platforms and like a whole bunch of things that are just like, oh, now you have to just stop running around and jumping and wait to climb up this shaft. Like, it's been really interesting. It was really interesting just to see how the Sonic level design got refined over time.
Yeah, for sure. There was one level that I absolutely adored the soundtrack of, and I'm pretty sure everyone who plays that level loves the song, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. It's slightly underwater, so parts of the level are underwater.
Hydrocity Zone?
It's not Hydrocity Zone, although that is a very good song as well.
It's not Hydrocity Zone because it's Hydro City Zone.
Okay.
Boy.
If they wanted it to be Hydro City Zone, they shouldn't have made it one word.
Well, you can have words that are supposed to be two words, but they're one word. Like, I'm trying to think of an example here.
Jacob's also violently looking around the room trying to find an example. Go on.
No, that's hyphenated. Like,
Go on.
especially with like brands.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what point we were trying to make there, but
that's one thing that I will give Sonic, like, that they deserve. They are very good at naming levels.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Sonic naming convention of like adjective noun zone, like, is very good. And you like even the levels that I don't really like I really don't like playing Chemical Plant, particularly Chemical Plant. Like classic Chemical Plant, the Act 2 in Sonic Mania, because it's like using the pieces but with new mechanics and new design to tie it all together. It's a lot less painful. But Chemical Plant Zone, like, that's such a great name.
Yeah, for sure. I think they carried that throughout most Sonic levels, like even Green Hill Zone. It's the very first level that you ever play in a Sonic game. And it's just so iconic because Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, it's really great. Even the 3D Sonic games had some really great ones, like Sonic Adventure 1 has Twinkle Park Zone, which is one of my favorite levels.
There was also
Casinopolis
in Sonic Heroes?
Casinopolis was Sonic Adventure 1, and then there was something Casino.
There was a really, really great...
They love casino levels in Sonic.
Yeah, no, there was a really great level in Sonic Heroes, which was another game that I used to enjoy playing so much. Not so much anymore after I realized how interesting the controls are sometimes.
I reckon it's still fun to have a casual play with.
Yeah, it's really fun to casually glitch through walls and then fall down to your inevitable death. But
I remember as a small child, there's a part in the game where Amy says, "Oh my god," and I was scandalized by that.
Really?
Yeah. Because I played G-rated games and grew up in a Christian household.
It was fair enough.
Sonic Heroes was some edgy shit.
Oh, it was great. Do you remember the theme song as well? But
Sonic Heroes.
Sonic Heroes. No, who's the band that always does
must come down, but here my feet don't touch the ground. I see the world spinning upside down. Mighty crash without a sound.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I think you're thinking of Crush 40.
Yeah, that's the band I'm thinking of.
I don't know that Crush 40 did Sonic Heroes though.
No, they did. They did the title.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that they did Open Your Heart. from Sonic
good
Adventure
song.
1.
Good song.
Great guitar solo and Live and Learn, I believe.
Can't hold on much longer, but I will never let go.
Very mixed feelings about those songs.
I love Sonic Butt Rock so much.
Oh, God.
Most of it is nostalgia. I was about to say that my favourite one of the Sonic Adventure songs is Amy's one because it has the iconic line talking about Sonic. He reminds me of Parsley when he's standing over there. Makes me want to be his speciality.
What the fuck?
That is one. That is actually like a tremendously fucking weird song.
It is weird and it's so shitty how they treated Amy in that game. She is treated so unfairly. But she still has like the best storyline.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Amy's a very underrated character and she doesn't get treated very well.
Still disappointed that she's not in the Sonic Mania DLC.
Really?
No, it's Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel.
Oh, can't forget fucking Mighty the Armadillo. We can't forget our friends Hip and Hop from Sonic Spinball either. We also played Sonic Spinball if you guys want to check that out as well. Plug. We'll put it in a little annotation right now.
Genuinely check it out because it's very educational. That game's so weird.
It's so fucking weird. It's great. That was actually a big game that I used to play in my childhood as well. I used to go to my grandparents' house and play it on their TV. It used to freak the fuck out of me, especially the robot crocodile as well. But yeah, if you guys want to hear us talking about that more, then check out our Sonic Spinball playthrough. We also played Roller Coaster Tycoon, which was a big part of my childhood as well. So go check that out as well, because that is a goddamn shit show of all sorts of good stuff.
What a classic.
It's such a good game. And the fact that that game was also created mostly by one guy as well. He did the programming, he did most of the design, I think, and he just got a couple of friends, and just that game just took off. But yeah, that was a big part of my childhood as well, for sure. I used to play that game so much. I still kind of do, actually, now that I think about it. It's the game where if I just feel like doing something, and I don't really want to think about it too much, but I want to keep myself entertained, that's the game I usually go for. It's great. Also, naming characters and killing them in horrendous ways in your theme park is always good fun as well. But
there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I never had Roller Coaster Tycoon, but there was the old classic of get your Sims to go in the pool and then remove the ladders.
Yeah, that was good fun in
My
Sims.
friend's personal favourite was fill a room with billiards tables and then get someone to set off fireworks inside.
Oh, that's a thing that you can do?
If you remove one small piece of wall, you can set off fireworks indoors because indoors is now outdoors technically.
Yeah, I used to abuse that mechanic a little bit, so that way I'd put trees in my houses. So I'd build a wall, take one little bit out, put a tree in there, and then have a staircase next to the tree so you could go up onto the veranda outside and follow the tree up. You could also have, I used to have little glass.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I used to have glass doors and windows, so it would be like a little sitting area as well, so I'd put plants in there. I was very, very serious about my Sims houses. But
I literally bought The Sims 4 the other day just because I wanted to build a Sims house. And then I finished building the house and started playing the game and was like, I don't even remember what you do in The Sims.
Yeah.
What do I do with these people? Like, what are they supposed to do? I got them all jobs and now they're just waiting to go to work. And I'm like, how do Sims have lives?
Just force cheat your way through everything, have sex with the Grim Reaper, and then have his child.
You can do that.
Oh, yeah. There's so much shit that
You can get
do.
impregned by an alien.
Yeah. Only male Sims in Sims 4 can get impregnated by aliens.
No, that was what I implied. I said impreg,
Oh,
not impregnated.
sorry. Okay, enough about
I may
Sims.
have said too much.
It's fine. We say too much on the show anyway.
That is interesting.
Are you still thinking about it?
There's like somebody with very weird fetishes on that development team, I think.
Yeah.
It's like that thing about how like that one developer at Blizzard that has a very specific fetish. What if we made one of the women blue? Most Blizzard games have a blue-skinned female character.
Well, I mean, each to their own, I guess. We've
This
certainly-
really has gone off the rails from childhood at this point.
Yeah, that's very true. Is there any other games specifically that you would like to... Actually, I have a question to tie this all together. I just made a little tying motion with my hands, but you can't see that. But
Good
okay.
radio.
Yep. Nothing says good quality audio like hand gestures. But what do you think the game that made the most impact on you as a kid was?
how old are we calling kid?
Anywhere between the ages of like 2 to 36.
Okay, because I think the game that I feel like has influenced like my creative output the most.
Yep.
Apart from like, it'd probably be a toss-up between Zelda because I think Zelda's unique take on fantasy that mixes like European fantasy and Japanese culture and doesn't use any of the typical fantasy races and stuff like that. That's very interesting and I think has shaped my disappointment in the fantasy subgenre.
Oh.
But it would have to be Earthbound,
Yeah.
which I played. I played Mother 1 and Mother 2 on emulator in 2007 or 2008 because we were just like, oh, cool, this is a thing you can do now with the internet. And those games are just so unique and weird and interesting, and hearing the creator of Mother talk about it is really interesting, and the way that he like developed those games as sort of a love letter to his daughter who he couldn't see for a while during her childhood, and that's why you never meet Ness's father, you only talk to him over the phone.
Oh, okay.
And the name Mother is supposed to evoke the idea of like a parental figure watching over you from afar, and just things that are just really like weird and unique, and not so unique now, but just like there is like the attitude of a developer in Japan making a game in the like early 90s and mid 2000s where he was like, oh, one of the player characters, like why shouldn't like one of the player characters have a physical disability, because there are people like that in the world, and so if your game doesn't reflect that, is not a good reflection of the world. Or you did the same thing, there's a canonically gay character in Earthbound who like it's not like made a big deal of because it was still the 90s and published on the Super Nintendo in an era where you couldn't put a red cross on the hospital because it looked too much like a religious symbol. But the fact that like that sort of stuff was going through the developers' minds at the time, and the fact that they were just really trying to make something unique is really great. In the Japanese version of Earthbound, there is a part where there's an octopus statue, and to get past the octopus statue, you have to get an octopus eraser, which erases octopuses, which is a pun in Japanese on like the words for octopus and eraser. Like there's a similar sounding there.
Okay.
Because it's a long and involved thing. There's a part where you have to erase a doll as well, and the type of doll is called kokeshi, and eraser is keshi. So there's kokeshi keshi,
Right.
is the doll eraser, and then the octopus eraser is tako keshi, because tako keshi. So it's a play on like the previous bit of the game as well.
That's cute.
And he just did this like in an interview. The creator was just like, I like to imagine that the octopus eraser just erased all octopuses in the world at the same time when you use it. So somewhere in the world of Earthbound, while you're doing that, there's someone getting very angry at a takoyaki stand because their takoyaki doesn't have octopus in it.
Aww.
And I'm like, that's just like, it just feels like a story that really like emphasizes the thought process in that game that's sort of like not.
It's like an
Average.
alternate. It's like an alternate Avengers Infinity War where Thanos just really hated octopuses.
And the other
Spoilers.
thing that's I think was very inspirational is in I think the same interview he was asked whether he would make a Mother 4, and he was like, it's no longer that time in my life. My daughter's an adult now and I get to see her, and so like that story for me is over, and it's just really nice. I feel like there's a lot of respect for him among game developers as well, with like Super Smash Brothers features a lot of Mother content, even though it's a very small franchise, because just Sakurai just likes Mother.
Yeah. All right.
That was a very long talk. But
No, that's fine. Jacob, your turn. See if you can top that.
All right. So the question was like games that have had
The biggest, what the game you think had the biggest impact on you was, in any way. You can interpret that any way you want.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not even sure I could begin to answer that question because nothing really springs to mind.
Like maybe the games I've played have affected me in ways that I don't even consciously realize. But
What do you reckon the biggest game of your childhood was then?
oh geez, it depends on the period. I mean, I went through a long phase as a young boy when I played shit tons of Club Penguin. And then after that, it was the big obsession was RuneScape. I think all through it, I was really big into Sonic games. I would always play whichever ones I could get my hands on based on the consoles I had at the time. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of like impact, I mean, I got really sad when my Tamagotchi died. So there's that.
Well, that's legitimate. Yeah. No, that's all fair. I mean, I don't want to say that the game that had the biggest impact on me was Ocarina of Time, because I know I've talked about that game a lot, but it's still true. It's my favorite game for a reason, and I think that game kickstarted a lot of love for just not only Zelda in particular, but a lot of fantasy tropes like you were talking about. And I don't know, it's one of those games where it's the one where I just go back to and just play it because every time I think of early childhood memories, I think of sitting on the couch playing Ocarina of Time and being like, yeah, I love video games, that kind of thing. But I feel like my answer could change over periods of time. I grew up playing a lot of Sonic as well, so Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which I mentioned before, was a very big love of mine as a kid as well. PC games as well. Like there's so much, and yeah, it is pretty hard to pick one. But if I was going to pick one, it would be Ocarina of Time because I'm not creative. Well,
I mean, Ocarina of Time, like you said, it's become so talked about for very legitimate reasons, and I think the only reason there is even backlash towards it now is because we're detached from the time in which it was so revolutionary, and so many things are derivative of it, that things that are so unique about it and so like were so heavily praised about it are so standard now that they don't seem that great in retrospect. But like it was the first big 3D adventure game, and it shaped how third-person games have been forever now.
Yeah, and I always say this, that things are popular for a reason. If people hate things just because they're popular, I think it's a very shallow approach, in particular to music, gaming, any kind of arts or entertainment like that. If people don't like something for a legitimate reason and it's popular, then yeah, fair enough. But there is a lot of the time a reason why things gain popularity and things gain these kind of momentum. It's because they have something to them.
Yeah, and hating something because it's popular is, in my mind, exactly the same as liking something just because it's popular. You're doing the same thing. You're basing your opinion solely on what other people think. You're just doing it in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think pretty much said a lot. We've talked a lot. Again, like we always tend to do, but that's fine. We're a podcast show. That's what we do. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a good thumbs up. I mentioned before that we have a Discord now, so I'll put the link to that in the description below, so you can come join us for chats pretty much about anything and everything. We've shared some good banter on there, I guess, so...
It's tangentially related to video games most of the time.
Most of it is. There's a couple of things in there that are questionable, but that's fine. We're human. We're allowed to have a bit of laughing. So yeah, I'll put the link to that in the description, so you can come chat with us about anything about games. If you have any suggestions for anything you'd like to see us talk about or play as well, be sure to comment. Go follow us on Twitter. I'll have to change the Twitter handle because of that now, but I'm sure it'll just be Hangout Gamecast.
Do you really need to change it though? I mean, the name's not that different.
Well, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway.
I mean, like the handle, the little @ thing, you can probably leave the same. But definitely change the name.
The link will be correct in the comments.
Yes.
In the description. No
whatever
matter what it
whatever
is.
decision we go with, it'll be there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Do you guys have anything you would like to add before we sign off?
Not really. Just thank you for listening to all of this. I don't know how many parts this will go up in because we talked for a really long time.
I'm sure we can split it off into 2 parts.
But like, yeah.
I hope you enjoyed our singing of the Sonic songs as well.
Please don't sue us, Sega Music Department.
Yeah,
Also.
no, we'll get flagged for being too good.
Sounds just like the recording.
You know that happened to Smooth McGroove?
Wow.
Yeah, he's gotten copyright striked a couple of times because his remakes are
There you
just
go.
a little bit too good.
Let's all aspire to be so talented that we get copyright strikes from massive corporations.
Yes, I do aspire to be a very, very lovely bearded guy singing video game songs, but, you know, follow your dreams, everyone. That's how I'm going to sign this off. Follow your dreams.
Yeah, do your best.
Yep,
Reach for the stars.
yep.
As was said in the classic Sonic song from Sonic Colors, Reach for the Stars.
Nice little segue. Anyway, we'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.